Believe it or not, there are still people who believe that Bidenomics is working. And really, the only convincing that they've needed is just simple, old, extremely lazy gaslighting. They just needed an adult in the room just to reassure them just a little bit.
And guess what? Bidenomics is working.
But here's the thing, man. The same people who have taken that guy's word and, the word of his partners in the liberal corporate media world, that the economy is great, that Joe Biden is the most prolific jobs creator in human history, and that you personally have never, ever been better. The people that believe that are the same people that believe the guy when he said that he was going to build an economy from the bottom up and middle out. Whatever that meant, still nobody knows. But I'm sorry, man. Parading some strong performance in the stock market and low unemployment out as proof that the economy is actually working for real people, and doing that at a time when we have literally record homelessness per capita in the richest nation on the planet, when McDonald's is losing market share because it has become a luxury, and when families literally need $12,000 more per year just to keep up with their needs. None of that stuff cuts it, man. People are not stupid. They understand at least their bank accounts, which seems to be a whole lot more than the average Biden economic advisor understands. And what I mean by that, I'm going to show you a clip, right, that you are not going to freaking believe. One of the men responsible for Bidenomics himself was recently asked a pretty interesting question. If we're just going to print the hell out of money, then why do we even bother borrowing it from other nations in the first place? And he literally could not explain. He could not explain where money comes from or what it even really is.
The U.S. government can't go bankrupt because we can print our own money.
It obviously begs the question, why exactly are we borrowing in a currency that we print ourselves? I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, why do we borrow our own currency in the first place?
Like you said, they print the dollar. So why does the government even borrow?
Well, again, some of this stuff gets, some of the language that some of the language and concepts are just confusing. The government definitely prints money, and it definitely lends that money, which is why the government definitely prints money, and then it lends that money by selling bonds. Is that what they do? They sell bonds. Yeah, they sell bonds. Right, because they sell bonds and people buy the bonds and lend them the money. Yeah, so a lot of times, at least to my ear with MMT, the language and the concepts can be kind of unnecessarily confusing, but there is no question that the government prints money and then it uses that money to, I guess I can't really talk. I don't get it. I don't know what they're talking about. Because it's like the government clearly prints money. It does it all the time, and it clearly borrows. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this debt and deficit conversation. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
Here's the thing, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I have absolutely no clue what that guy was trying to say. But honestly, I think I probably understood it more than he even does. Look, it's funny to watch, but this is not some random guy on the internet. These are the people in charge. These people are literally pulling the strings of our economic policies, and they do not understand anything about what they're doing. The guy was asked to explain the system, actually probably the easiest part of the system to even understand. And instead of doing that, he just gave us his best Kamala Harris impression, which it's funny to watch, but when you realize what this is and who he is, it's freaking scary, man. But you got to understand why. This guy, like nearly every other person in Biden's orbit, is just not qualified. If you Google this guy, the guy is a freaking music major who's got a PhD in social welfare from Columbia, of course. I don't even know what social welfare means, but I know it does not mean you should be a top dog economic advisor. But here's the amazing thing about that. The guy took the job. Being offered a job is one thing, but can you imagine being the kind of person that is so selfish that you would accept such an important job that you know nothing about? I just can't even imagine doing that. Only in the Democrat Party can a person like that or an opportunity like that even exist? And guys, he's not the only one. This is not an anomaly. Do not ever forget this gem right here from Janet Yellen.
Has Treasury really not looked at, okay, we're already charging $4.9 trillion for the deficit, for Medicare, for a lot of other things, and now we got to add social, but we haven't done the math to figure out how much that tax rate would have to be?
The president doesn't have a plan. He has principles. He wants to work with Congress to find a way to protect Social Security and extend its solvency.
That really does say it all, man. We don't have a plan. We have principles. And you know what? I believe him. You know, that might be the most honest statement to ever come out of any Biden administration official. They do not have a plan. They have principles. But sadly, I mean, their principles, they aren't really principles. They believe in race and gender and inclusion and whatever it is they think is going to make happy the truly insane people that still support them at this point. That is all they have. I wouldn't really even call that a principle. They might think it's a principle, but that's what they have. And the results are literally exactly what you'd expect. I mean, we have real problems in this country. Economies are incredibly complex. You need a plan. I mean, your principles do not matter, especially when it comes to math. And your economic advisors, they should be intelligent. They should not just have PhDs in social freaking welfare. And if they do, they should at least be able to answer basic economic questions. And if they can't, it's probably not a great confidence booster for the American people to have them out giving interviews. We have real problems coming, and these people have literally zero freaking clue.
The highest deficit we ran pre-COVID was in 2004 at full employment. Highest deficit was 4%. So we're running a much higher level of deficits, and it's three main programs: unspent ARPA money, Inflation Reduction Act projects, Infrastructure Act projects. They're going on all over the United States, and I see them everywhere, and they're increasing the demand for workers, goods and services, but particularly workers. This is why the employment market is so strong, is you've got this government-generated demand for workers. I think it is somewhat artificial, and I think when the government money starts to peter out, you'll see how artificial this is in hindsight.
When does that happen?
Well, the ARPA money is just now starting to peter out. This is the last year where the money has to be obligated and spent by 25. But you've still got the Inflation Reduction Act projects and Infrastructure Act projects going strong. For my money, I would love to see a whole of government approach to fighting inflation and have the federal government realize that if we're going to make inflation fighting a priority and help 60 million low, moderate income workers make ends meet, we ought to slow down implementation of the Inflation Reduction Act and Infrastructure Act projects, not cancel, but slow, and let's wrestle this inflation issue to the ground so working class families can better make ends meet, and the Fed can begin to start taking their foot off the interest rate. But they can't do it yet with this fiscal spigot.
Yeah. When I see this stuff, man, I feel like we're completely screwed. 60 million citizens really do feel like they're not going to make it. And you know what? Some of them might not. Inflation is absolutely crushing these people, and it is crushing real families that don't have a dime in the stock market, you know, and no amount of gaslighting from people who have literally no clue what they're talking about and even less clue of what they're actually doing is going to change that. I mean, these people, we've allowed these people to be in charge. You know, the people that we have put in charge, we made a mistake. These people have got to go. They are breaking things that we probably won't ever be able to fix, at least in a lot of our lifetimes, you know, but that's just my take, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. And if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.